Great. Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to start with, what you have already read. I'm pretty sure that you have read all the disclaimers here. And so, first thing, have you ever seen this in YouTube? Raise your hands. Do you know what it is? Despacito, right? Okay, it's a song called Despacito. So how is this related to what we are going to talk today? I would like to reflect how many times you have heard of Despacito the past 5 years. So if you think about Despacito, you will realize that are about 5 billion people that have seen this particular YouTube video during the first, couple of years from its release. So this means that if you take the energy that was required in order to see this particular YouTube video, this will be equivalent to the energy that was required in order to run 5 African countries. And this was only for the first couple of years. And this was actually the result of 5 billion views of Despacito. And nowadays, 5 years later, or 6 years later now, we have reached 8.1 billion views. So you understand that this is proportional. So second fact from today's era is the fact that, there is online video viewing. So online video viewing means, things like, videos that are related to streaming, video streaming, or videos like Netflix and things like that. So if you see the energy and the emissions that are related to that, you will realize that this is equivalent to a large country, something like Spain, for example. And this accounts for 1% of the global emissions. Another fact, which is also very interesting, is that if you take only the video on demand part, the service that we provide in order to see services such as Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon, or Antenna Plus if you want to see Cappuccini's series at a single weekend, then you will realize that this particular energy, that's a part of the energy that it's required, it's similar to what we need to have as an equivalent with Chile, an average-sized country in terms of, again, CO2 emissions. So it's quite significant, what I'm saying here. So last example, just from today's era, 2021, that year that was, within the COVID quarantines and, the global crisis that this pandemic has brought us. If we go to a particular state, California, you will realize that gaming, online gaming, only in California, was the same level of energy consumption as it was with Sri Lanka. So all I'm saying here is that we have a digital world that it's not just a world that exists, it's a 7th continent. So we're talking about energy consumption, we're talking about environmental footprint, which is about the size of France. So it's huge. So this equals about 1.5 billion employees going back and forth each day to their working environment and traveling about 25 kilometers or so. And or you could, if you want to see it in a physical volume, you could think of it as 242 billion packs of mineral water, the ones that have 9 liters of size. And if you want to have the equivalent of this in energy terms, then you can think about heaters, electric heaters of around 82 million. Permanently switched on. So this means that our industry, it's quite significant in environmental terms. So think of that. Now, point number 2 is you all have heard about cybersecurity and information security, I'm sure of that. You probably heard that there are ways of producing a software product in secure terms. I would like to give some examples of what this means in real life. So what we're trying to do from cybersecurity perspective is that we try to shift security to the left of the software development life cycle. What this means is that we want to take into account security, not just in testing phase, which is quite later in the development life cycle, but in the early stages as well. Requirements, design, implementation, verification or testing, okay, which is quite sensible. Then you have deployment, which has also security requirements and security activities to go through. You also have the production and maintenance, and you also have the disposal phase. So what it means when we're saying shift to the left, we're saying just try to think of security very early in the phases of software life cycle. Try to predict what could go wrong. And this is not only efficient in performance term, it's also cheaper if you want to produce a software product. So a bug, for example, or weakness in software code, it's much more expensive to deal with that than it is to predict it and think about it during the design phase. Okay. So what we also do is we assure code. We say that this piece of software, this 1,000 lines of code, are quite secure. Why? Because we have passed through all the security tests that we want to see, and we can assure that it's quite secure. It has a great level of security assurance. We also build secure CI/CD pipelines. This means that it's not just about the final outcome, the code that it's assured and secured, but it's also about the environment that supports the development of this software product. So CI/CD pipelines are quite important to be secured as well, because it's one of the things, one of the means that we have to produce the secure code. And we also integrate people, processes, and technology, which is important to have a holistic view of a secure software product. In essence, what we do, it's the last part here, we inspire trust to software products. So if you want one catchphrase to sell to your clients, to sell to yourselves if you like, we just inspire trust. So think about security as a means to provide trust. Okay. So that's one aspect of the things that I would like to bring forward to you. The other thing that I would like to bring forward to you is the fact that we have green software development. And green software development is one of the things that have been developing for the past 3 or 4 years now. And what we have done is we have created a framework of green software development principles. There are 8 of them. I'm not going to go in detail through this, but I would like just to give you a highlight of a couple of them, just to understand what it is this all about. So, for example, if you take the networking part, when you build a software-based solution, think about the network hops that one request or one network package needs to go through in order to be served. So if you have 10 network equipment or 10 hops that will serve this single request, this is much more energy consuming than it is to have the same type of request served in just 3 network equipment or 3 hops. So if you designed your solution, your software-based solution, thinking about the network hops and how you can minimize that, then you can achieve to have a greener software product. Okay, this is just one example of that. Another example which is quite important is the demand shaping. Imagine, having a Black Friday and you're saying that I have a super wow offer, and this is just between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m., so quite late in the evening. And what you do is you challenge your customers to buy all the things that they want with an extra super wow discount between that 1 hour. Technically, what you do right there is that you squeeze all the requests to buy your products within that 1 hour. So you require to have you have a request to your technical team to have resources spent within that particular 1 hour. So you have servers and CPU cycles and memory that needs to be needs to be available in order to serve these requests. What if you could spread this demand across, say, 10 hours or 24 hours? Then you could have potentially the same amount of requests, but without spending too much resources, at the same time. So you don't have to pick your resources at a single 1 hour. So this is quite important in terms of financial terms, because you're going to pay a lot more to your cloud security provider or your cloud service provider at that time. And you could shape these demands in order to be more, financially viable, and essentially be a greener approach, because you won't have to use too many resources that are going to consume too much energy or, have excessive CO2 transmissions. So these are just a couple of examples of what we are talking about when we say the term of green software development practices. There are 8 of them. Feel free to go through them in the material that will be provided afterwards. But you get the idea. It's how do we provide a solution, a software-based solution that is greener. It has as less as possible environmental impact. And, it also produces a sense of, if you like, CSR, of corporate social responsibility. So it's quite important to consider that aspect as well. So here's an idea. We could combine the things that green IT and green software development brings and cybersecurity, and we could support and serve multiple software product requirements. So you have confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which are the typical security-oriented requirements for software products and software-based services. But you could also support sustainability, efficiency, and of course maintainability through this type of approach. In product terms, this does not only mean repackaging, but it also means a sense of, increasing your corporate social responsibility, as well as your sense of having a most efficient product through the whole life cycle. So this is quite important to combine the things and the benefits that you get from such a combination of domains. So, in practical terms, what this means, what could this bring forward to you? You could have, the combined life cycle and the combined practices of secure software development and the combined practices of green software development. And this could be in terms of tooling. This could be in terms of having a common pipeline or a pipeline that jointly supports the principles of each one of these domains. You could have a source code analysis that serves both the targets of green software development and secure software development. You could have a risk analysis for security-related risks, but also for identifying sustainability-related risks, which is a nice combination, actually, as a methodological tool as well. You could have an IT network optimization that takes into account cybersecurity, but it's also eco-friendly. Remember the list hops example that we talked about. You could have a vulnerability and energy-consuming components assessment. This component is vulnerable, but it's also not eco-friendly. But if I use this software component, this is much more network efficient, much more energy efficient, and it's much more, secure. So this component might be much more preferable in this case. And then you can optimize the whole thing in terms of cybersecurity and in terms of energy consumption with AI, which was a very good pass, for the next event as well. So, closing up, what could you do? Number one, include sustainability and cybersecurity requirements in your software products and your software-related services. Consider synergies of existing methods. You have quality assurance, you have your agile methods of working, you have cybersecurity, you have green IT. You could bring all these areas together and you could have a more efficient way of producing software products. And you could also ask for mixed development teams. Okay, for example, if you have something like a team of developers, this could be benefited if you include cybersecurity and sustainability professionals as well. So if you are inspired and if you see value to what we are talking about, then you will get into that path and actually become the next generation cybersecurity and sustainability-driven software product and engineering team practitioners. If you think this is interesting, we will be happy to discuss this further in our booth outside, Netcompany-Intrasoft. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Emmanouil. Thank you. We don't have any questions for you, so I think we're good. There is one. Let me check. There is one, correct. Which is there a framework to estimate CO2 emissions or similar metrics for a software workload?
Yes, absolutely. There are quite a lot of frameworks and there are quite a lot of tools to see into that. I would suggest to start with the tools, which are much more comprehensive and much more understandable for beginners. You could have such tools. There are also, plugins that you could add to your software and could estimate the CO2 emissions based on the data centers and based on the area, the geographical area that we belong into. So you could start with, the tools that are out there. Happy to provide, details on that. And you could also see which are the frameworks that are behind these tools.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Dr. Serrelis. Have a good one.